that special time of the week again, everybody. It's time for Cape TV. As always, I'm your host, Cape Joel, and joining me is Matt from Fortress of Solitude, everybody.
Hello.
What'd you think of that little intro, Matt? I know this is pretty much a new show. This is only our third episode, and I'm really trying to find an intro that helps differentiate this from all the other shows that I'm on in a week.
Yeah, that was all right.
All right, I'll try and keep up with that. Then I've also, I don't know if anyone has paid attention, but I've actually added like little musical intros and outros. I figure that's slick, that's different, that's very old Spill.com back when they had a thing.
Yeah, that's cool.
So, yes, we are back again for those of you who are new to the show, and heck, you might be, because, this one's getting shared around everywhere. This is a show where we talk about everything that's going on in the world of geeky television, especially all the CW and DC and Marvel shows, and kicking off this week, we have the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which returned this week with a brand new episode from this fourth season called Broken Promises.
Yeah, and it's probably one of the best episodes they've done this season.
It was definitely a strong episode. This is the kickoff to the LMD arc. And you actually pointed out in a previous episode, Matt, that all of these S.H.I.E.L.D. seasons and half seasons now, they really are getting arc heavy. The first part of season 4 was all Ghost Rider, now we're all LMD.
Yeah, and apparently there's going to be another one at the end of the season as well.
I wonder what the hell that could be.
Probably Inhuman tie-in.
I would not be shocked at all if that's the way they went with it. So, once again, as we join the episode, this is the continuation of the Ada plot line. At the end of the Ghost Rider season, we had saw that she had actually replaced Agent May with a life model decoy. To what ends, we weren't exactly sure.
Yeah, this episode sort of touched on what those ends were, and she wants the Darkhold.
Everyone wants that goddamn magic evil book, don't they?
Yeah.
I really had to respect Mac this episode for going out of the way to say when he finally finds out about the life model decoys, he's like, really, you built a lifelike human robot? Have you not seen a movie in the last 30 years?
I love how paranoid he became, and he's like, everything's a robot now. What's going on? I've got life insurance that covers killer robots
and then
stuff like that.
And oh my god, I gotta take my hat off to the writer on this one too. Literally, almost every other line of Max this episode was a reference to a robot movie. He mentions Lawnmower Man. He mentions the Terminator franchise.
Yeah, he gets right into it.
Maximum Overdrive. I'm like, wow, they must have had a blast writing all of these.
Yeah, definitely.
Even Yo-Yo got in on the action, saying, when this is all said and done, we're going to force Coulson and everyone to watch every Terminator movie ever. Ooh, even Salvation. They brought this on themselves.
I like that little jab at Salvation.
The ultimate punishment in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. universe is being forced to watch Terminator Salvation, and I agree.
Yes, it is pretty bad.
There was also some movement in this episode of, Quake, Daisy getting re-brought onto the S.H.I.E.L.D. team after going rogue for a bit there. Her and the Director Mace, they kind of form a very uneasy little alliance with each other.
Yeah, she's still very apprehensive about rejoining S.H.I.E.L.D., especially with this new director who she doesn't particularly know anything about.
And even we as the audience, there's a lot about, Director Mace that is a mystery. We're still not even 100% sure where it's like, are you a good guy? Are you not a good guy? What's your game, man? What are you after?
Yeah, totally. And we don't even know if he's, telling the truth about being Inhuman either.
That's true. That's definitely true. I imagine there'll still be plenty of twists with him in the future.
Yeah, totally.
We also got a little bit more with the Watchdogs and the senator who was backing them. We find out that mysterious Inhuman that Simmons was dealing with was actually her brother.
Yeah, her brother VJ, who becomes an Inhuman. I don't know whether he was an Inhuman that we're supposed to know who he was.
I think he was just a guy. But then again, they never give him an Inhuman name, so who knows? He could be someone important.
Yeah, totally. And after his apparent death, he survives as well. So
they seem to be implying that he's like the Inhuman answer to Darwin, and that as he keeps dying and his powers are going to change to help him survive any given situation. Like, he needed super speed to outrun that bullet. Now it looks like he's probably going to get to breathe underwater to survive that.
Yeah, that looks really cool.
Now, I will say though, perhaps one of the weaker parts of the episode was the actor who played VJ. Is it just me, or did they keep some of the worst line reads in?
Yeah, his line reads were really weird. They were always really panicked.
Yeah, his
And
delivery and even stuff like he just didn't sound like a human being. He's like, "Man, I sure like it out here. Man, going for a walk is nice." And I'm like, "Tell us more how you think, sir."
yeah, it was really weird what lines they gave him.
I couldn't help but be reminded of that Simpsons episode where it's like we did 400 takes and that was the best one. Another big revelation this episode is this senator who we thought was controlling the watchdogs actually isn't. There is a superior above even her.
Yeah, what if it's Ward?
Ward again. Well, again, I said it before and I'll say it again. I bet you 100 Zeni dollars. I bet you 100 fun bucks that Ward will be rebuilt as an LMD by the end of this season. They're going to start rebuilding dead people.
Oh yeah, it's the perfect way to bring these people back. That's how I think Patton Oswald's characters are coming back. I think they're going to be LMDs.
I like that characters plural. He just doesn't play one character on the show. He played two.
Yeah.
They did the classic Bruce Lee thing where he died, but he got to come back again as his own brother.
Yeah, he just happened to have a brother.
That was pretty classic. I guess the final big thing, too, that we can talk about as we wrap up talking about S.H.I.E.L.D. here. We also found out that, hey, the scientist, the doctor, Fitz's friend, Captain Scottish, was actually in on it all along, and this is all part of his grand design.
Yeah, he was always kind of evil, which we should have seen it coming because he was like an evil Inhuman doctor beforehand.
He was a mad scientist when we first found him, and yet it's like, oh, but he's so fun though and so funny. I like him now. For those last 8 episodes where he was all, yeah, Team Shield, go me, only to be like, ah ha 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 ha, this is all part of my master plan. It's like, ah, fuck, all right.
Yeah. I'm intrigued to see what he's got planned for the Darkhold.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that character and of that actor too. I'm like, oh, I feel bad now that you're bad. I hope you have like a good arc. Like, I hope the robots betray you and you have to help out Shield again, and that just kind of becomes your thing.
Yeah. Well, like no one on Shield finds out he's bad, so they never really get that whole thing where they find out he's bad, so they don't have to trust him anymore, and it's all sort of kept secret by him.
Because, there's a lot of characters like that in the comics, and I would like to see the show do that. Characters with moral complexity and gray areas where it's like, this guy's probably going to fuck me over, but he doesn't want to take over the world or anything, so I guess he's not so bad.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., everyone. That's the first big new superhero show that comes back. When does Flash come back?
Next week?
Yeah, it's got to be soon, because I always have it in my head that Flash and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. are never more than a couple episodes apart after the break.
Yeah. I think all the DC shows come back next week. I know Supergirl does.
Nice. Okay, so when that happens, everyone will be sure to talk about those as well. And moving on from robots of the LMD kind to the droids of the Star Wars kind. We maybe to do a little bit of housekeeping, Matt, before we get into Star Wars Rebels Season 3 episode Warhead. We should talk about the episode that aired last week. We were still on break during this time, but we got the big 2-parter with Forrest Whitaker and Saw Gerrera.
Yeah, that was a really cool episode.
It was. I love they're just like, no waiting a week or anything. We're just dropping both episodes at once. We're doing a mini movie with this big Hollywood actor.
Yeah, that was great. And what's even better is they've said that he's going to be coming back throughout the latter half of this season as well. So it's not just like a one-off thing.
Yeah, because they left so much room for him. It's funny because they see Saw Gerrera. It's like, oh man, he was a great military leader and he has a history with Rex and everything. And we kind of find out what makes him tick and what makes him hate the Empire and everything. And I'm sure you did this too, Matt. It's like, ooh, but he was crazy in the movie though. When's he going to go crazy on Kanan and Ezra? When he's going to go crazy? And then by the end, he went crazy.
Yeah, and I think he's going to get more crazy as well because apparently one of those Geonosian pesticide things they were after explodes in his face or something.
Yeah, because that's what messed up his lungs. I remember you told me that.
Yeah. So I imagine that's going to happen in like the last episode we see him in or something.
You got to give credit to the animators for really capturing the spirit of Forrest Whitaker. He's got the weird eye thing. He even does the Whitaker laugh, the thing that he does.
It's great.
I thought to myself, and I even told you this. I'm like, was that in the script, or does Whitaker just do that?
Yeah, he just does it.
He
Yeah,
just
just
does it.
we'll just animate it.
It's like the Seth Rogen laugh or the Jimmy Carr laugh. It's just a weird tick, and they're like, oh, well, we got to animate that. We got to see Geonosia again in that episode as well. Or Geonosis.
Yeah, yeah, Geonosis is pretty cool. It's just a wasteland now because the Empire's come in and killed everyone.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm always mixing up Geonosia and Geonosis because they're so damn close. Geonosia is another place. We get to see them bug aliens, and man, was that two-parter filled with self-referential jokes when Ezra's like, oh, what do the bugs look like? Honestly, they look like the droids, but uglier. And they even, Sabine makes a sand joke. She's like, oh, I hate sand. It gets everywhere. We are now at full Star Wars coming full circle now to where the cartoons are ripping on the prequels.
Yeah, that's great.
It's good stuff. I mean, really, that's all you can say about that one. Warhead, the new one that aired today on Saturday as we record this. This one was a little bit more complicated. This was an episode that kind of dialed things back a bit and told a smaller, almost bottle episode with Zeb and the two droids.
Yeah, it was a, very Zeb-centric episode with him just running around base after this killer droid, and it was pretty cool.
Yeah, they do almost a Star Trek thing where they find a droid out in the waste and they're like, hey, let's take him home and see what happens.
Yeah, very, very Ghost in the Shell type of droid. It like sort of splits apart, its hands apart and its face apart and everything, and it was really cool. And it had like a Predator nuclear bomb countdown.
Oh yeah, it was a wonderfully creepy machine too, because it's like not only is it a super killer droid that lulls you into a full sense of security because it looks like a protocol droid, but it can also repair itself by drinking other droids' fluid and stealing their parts, so it's a cannibal on top of that.
Yeah, that was great.
This episode, too, I think is a great representation of the humanity of the robots in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, it definitely shows a different side to them that we usually don't see very often.
They feel fear, they have ideas, they can be smug. I love Smugbot. I love him.
Oh yeah, AP5, I think his name is. Yeah, he's great.
He's having a great run. I love that the relationship he has with Chop is very much akin to the C-3PO R2-D2 relationship, but totally different as well. It's reminiscent of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, lots of fun droid stuff going on. We get to see more movement from Fulcrum, which is, of course, Agent Callus undercover now, and him starting to really put in good work for the Rebel Alliance, even though you know it's only a matter of time until Thrawn catches him.
Oh yeah, definitely. He might even suspect him already, and he's just sort of like letting him play his hand a little bit.
If I had to put money on a character who wouldn't make it out of this season, it's definitely Callus. I think they might actually kill Callus in a big moment.
Oh yeah, I could definitely see him maybe sacrificing himself for the rebels.
Wouldn't that be cool? Wouldn't that bring his character full circle to a guy who hunted them in season 1, to a guy who became their friend and eventually sacrificed himself for the greater good?
Yeah, totally.
So yeah, Warhead, another really strong episode from Rebels. Rebels is just consistently hitting it out of the park, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's been absolutely fantastic.
And the trailer we got for the latter part of this season, offers up a lot of other really cool shit. They've already said, hey, by the end of this season, there will be the big rematch between Old Man Darth Maul and Old Man Obi-Wan Kenobi, so get ready for that.
Oh, that's going to be so good.
They also showed, hey, yes, Sabine and the Darksaber will be going back to Mandalore, and you'll be getting some closure to that storyline as well.
Yeah, so good.
So yeah, lots of good Rebel stuff to look forward to in the future. And moving on from the galaxy far, far away to the galaxy of fish and chips and double-decker buses, I thought we'd do something kind of funny and different, because this was a light show this week, because not all the superhero shows are back yet, and I know Matt and I are watching this both anyway. Sherlock Season 4 returned just recently.
Yeah, and it's been a pretty interesting season so far. There's only one episode left, isn't there?
I know, and it airs tomorrow.
Yeah, they're only like 3 episode seasons.
3 episode seasons, occasionally a Christmas special a la Doctor Who, because it's the same guy running it. But for those of you who have never watched Sherlock before, it's a modern day retelling of the classic Arthur Conan Doyle mystery series. The only difference is like I said, it takes place in modern day, and instead of like there being a full season of hour-long episodes, every episode is a goddamn movie.
Yeah, it's pretty much just a TV movie.
Yep, of the week all the time. This is where Benedict Cumberbatch came from, and this is where he continues to, I think, show some of his best work, in my opinion, especially in this second episode, The Lying Detective, because Sherlock, after many seasons in a row of everyone saying what a terrible drug addict he was, he actually gets back on the heroin.
Yeah, he actually becomes the drug addict everyone tells him he is.
Yeah, he gets... This is fun because, you could tell Cumberbatch was having a great time playing fucked up.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And yet he's still like the super genius, the insufferable super genius that we love from the show, but he's that much slower and he just can't put it together quite as quick anymore. Like they do that great gag with all the words flying around like he always does.
Yeah.
The big conceit here is that it's Sherlock going after a serial killer, a very different type of serial killer. This is a guy of money and influence who was almost impossible to catch and or detect. And, they make a whole statement there about how if you're famous, people are willing to look the other way and believe whatever they want to believe, but never believe that you're bad.
Yeah, Toby Jones played a great villain. This is probably the first villain of the Sherlock series that I've actually enjoyed watching.
Yeah, he was very charismatic. It's funny too because unlike a lot of the Sherlock villains, who it's a big mystery to be like, ooh, who are they at the end? Right up front, they're like, hey, yep, Toby, he's the bad guy.
Yeah. And I was talking with Tom about it as well, and he said they definitely wrote this as sort of like, I don't know whether you know who Jimmy Savile is.
I do know who that is. Okay,
Yeah.
that's so funny you should say that, Matt, because I was watching this show with someone else. Well, someone else. It's my mom. My mom started watching the show because it's on Netflix and everything, so she's into Sherlock. And I'm like, hey, that guy, that British celebrity who's like a bastard and everything, he's based on Jimmy Savile. And I had to explain who that was to her. I'm glad you told me, Matt, because that was literally going to be my next question. Is he based on Jimmy Savile, or am I nuts?
I'd have to think he, like, in some way is, because the character was, this very famous person who did something very terrible and was never brought up on charges because he's famous and everything. So there's definitely parallels there. So maybe it's just a coincidence, but I fail to think that's the reason, mainly because it's a British TV show and Jimmy Savile was a British television presenter.
And I mean, Sherlock has gotten topical before. There was the guy, spoiler, Sherlock killed at the end of season 3. He was a pulled from the headlines guy. I forget who he was supposed to represent, but he was supposed to represent somebody.
No, okay.
So, I mean, that's cool. I love the thing I took away from the Toby Jones performance is like, man, his teeth are creepy.
Yeah, his teeth are really fucked up.
Him and Mark Strong, it's like, Jesus Christ, you guys have a lot of money. Couldn't you get your teeth fixed? Oh, no, you can't, because that's your trademark.
Well, I think maybe Toby Jones's was like prosthetics or something, because I know he doesn't talk like that at all.
No, I know he doesn't. And also, too, I think Savile had shit teeth, too, and that's why that they probably did it.
Yeah, probably.
So, yeah, this was a fun episode, and as with everything in Sherlock, it's all connected, and the smallest, most minuscule things of the season in the first 2 episodes ultimately all come together at the end for the big, twist to take us into the final episode, and that is, of course, Sherlock and Mycroft actually had a secret sibling, which makes me think, goddamn, how comic book is that, secret siblings?
Yeah, that they never knew she was locked up in a castle or something, that sort of thing.
Or in a basement or some shit.
Yeah.
And through the whole episode, they go, oh, secret brother, and I'm like, they keep saying secret brother, so I know it's going to be a secret sister. And it was, and she'd been there the whole time, you just didn't know.
Yeah. When that reveal happened, I was like, oh, God, this isn't going to be like James Moriarty got Isn't they
in
now
drag,
like a
yeah.
tranny or something? Yeah, is a tranny or something?
I totally
You
thought they
know,
were going that direction. It's like, oh, friggin', Moriarty got a sex change, and this is his great scheme. Aha, Sherlock, I made you fall in love with me. You're gay now, Sherlock. Take
yeah,
that.
you can't hit women, Sherlock.
Which, goddamn, if they did that, I'd be like, what, this show jumped the shark, but I still want to watch more. But yeah, and they tie that into the bigger storyline of John this season. I know some people have had a problem with Watson this season. They feel that they got a little too mopey a little too quickly.
His wife fucking died.
I know, that's what I think. I don't think it's the mopiness that they're upset about. I think fans are upset that they're retreading the Watson and Holmes don't get along anymore thing from when he faked his death in the previous season. And I'm like, they got a reason for it. I mean, think how many times Batman and Robin had falling outs over the years only to get back together. You break them up so it feels that much sweeter when they come back together.
Yeah, yeah.
When it's done right and everything. So yeah, Sherlock continues to be awesome. Can't wait for the final episode. I'm sure we'll talk about that. This is what's great about talking about Sherlock, because it's so goddamn short at only 3 episodes a season. It's really easy to cover all of them.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
My big issue for it is that once this season is done, oh, when season 5's coming out, and I don't think
Well,
Moffat or anyone else knows.
that's exactly their reasoning. They're like, whenever they're asked, they're like, when we can.
It seems like this is just a fun side project that all these super famous guys do in between their other work.
I think it is. I think like Moffat doesn't write it until he knows when, Benedict Cumberbatch and Martin Freeman are going to be available, because they're all off doing. They're both in Marvel movies now
I
and
know.
everything.
Do you think there's got to be a bit when they eventually get those two together where it's like, hey, look, it's these two?
Maybe. I don't know whether they will be though.
No, I don't think they will be either. But yeah, you're right. It just hit me. Cumberbatch has got a lot of stranging to do over the next little bit, and if they ever bring Martin Freeman's character back for anything else, there's stuff, there's places they could go. So hopefully they end season 4 on a really good note, because we don't know when we'll ever see this show again.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe if they're nice, they'll give us a Christmas special down the line so we remember.
Yeah, that last Christmas special was pretty cool.
It was cool. I hope they keep finding reasons to do like period piece homes. Wouldn't that be fun? That every Christmas special is a period piece.
Yeah, that'd actually be really cool.
I'm not even saying keep it Victorian period piece. Hell, make it like an 80s period piece with Watson and Holmes where they have to solve crimes without the internet.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of retro Britain stuff that I don't know about that I think they could do well on that one. And I guess moving on from detectives to Saiyans, last week the dub of Dragon Ball Super aired, and I know Matt and I were both going to be watching anyway. I loves me some Dragon Ball Z. It was one of the first animes I ever watched, and I said, you know what, fuck it, when are we ever going to get a chance to talk about this ever again? So let's put it into the episode. And the first episode of Dragon Ball Super, in a wonderfully translated Japanese title, is the World Peace Prize. Who's getting the 100 million Zeni? Question mark, exclamation point.
I always love Dragon Ball Z translated titles because they're always so long and just completely ridiculous.
They're wonderful. They're really, really wonderful. Same for the movies, too. When you translate the names, they become absolutely hilarious. So this is Super, and Super, for those of you who don't know, and I mean, really, if you care, I don't know how you wouldn't know, it basically fills in the gaps between the end of the Majin Buu saga and the beginning of GT, which we do not speak of.
Yeah, so this is like a prequel, but a sequel as well.
Yeah, it's all the shit you never got to see, and they really waste no time throwing you right back into it. It's funny, after the defeat of Majin Buu, the world has been enjoying basically world peace. No alien has tried to destroy the Earth. Everything's been fine, so much to the point that Goku has had to take a fucking job.
Yeah, he's had to look for a job.
A shitty job driving a tractor that he hates, which I like.
Yeah, I like that. I always pictured him, though, like getting like an office job and just being absolutely awful at it.
Well, that's the wonderful thing about Goku as a character, and I think it's true in Super, and it's something Toriyama really feels. It's this idea that if he has no one to fight, he's pretty useless.
He is. He all he cares about is fighting or training or something.
He was a mountain child. He's all but illiterate, probably. And, he never learned a skill. There was the one episode where he learned how to drive, and he had problems with that, too. You gotta think to yourself, if it wasn't for fighting, he would have nothing else to do. I'm sure in his mind, he's like, I could learn some book skills, but, that I'll leave more room in my head for fighting.
Yeah, yeah.
We actually get to see him spend time with Goten, his youngest son, and I laughed. I'm like, geez, you've spent more time with Goten in this one episode than you spent with Gohan in all of Dragon Ball Z.
Well, Gohan's, busy with his wife and everything.
Yeah, that's right. He's married. He's grown up. He's not only that, but he married real well. He's got a rich wife.
Yeah, he's married rich. Sure, it isn't like everyone except Goku's family in that show rich. Like Bulma's family's like the richest family in the world, and
she's basically
and all that.
blue-haired Bill Gates. Well, it's funny, in this episode they mentioned something I never thought, and that is, wait, how could Goku just afford to, be a kung fu bum his entire life? And it's like, oh, well, Chi-Chi and the Ox King, yeah, they came from money, didn't they? Only one of the big thrusts of this episode is, yeah, all that money's gone, you idiot.
Yeah, they're almost bankrupt.
Yeah, wow. Talk about real pressure. Here's a problem: you can't hit Goku with your fists. Which leads us to the thing with Hercule, or which I call him Hercule, even though he's Mr. Satan in the show. I guess, here's the thing, I totally missed the whole Kai era. I never watched DBZ Kai, which was like a do-over of Z, but shorter, and they put a bunch of more stuff from the Japanese in there, so it's funny to hear the old Hercule voice coming out of him, even though he's Mr. Satan now, which is what he was in the original.
Yeah, it's really weird. I've only seen a little bit of Kai, mainly the stuff at the beginning and some of the Cell Saga stuff, but I haven't seen it all. So yeah, it was kind of weird. I'm like, no, he's not Mr. Satan, he's Hercule.
Which I'm sure we're making people furious in the comments right
now.
Oh,
yeah.
They're like, dub people. Hide the money in the silverware. There's filthy dub people around. Speaking of dub, let me blow your minds, everyone. I'm Canadian, which means that we got the ocean dub of Dragon Ball Z. We got a special dub of Dragon Ball Z all to ourselves.
That's awesome.
So everyone sounded weird to me. I will stand by this. Canadian Frieza was the best Frieza. Because it was a woman who did the voice. It was a woman sounding like a weird man. It was awesome. But yeah, he's received the $1 million Zeni prize, or the $100 million Zeni prize, for basically being like, hey, you saved the Earth. You're a good dude, Hercule. Which, I love this idea that Goku did all the hard work, but Hercule takes the credit because he is such a good pitchman and such a good liar.
Yeah, he's a good showman and everything.
And people just want to believe that this weird Hulk Hogan dude saved the world.
Yeah.
It also helps that Goku is so incredibly humble at the same time, too, and wouldn't take the prize money. Although he actually does at the end of this, only on the condition that he can go train with the Kais again.
I love that, like, he gets given all money and he's like, he doesn't even care about it. He's like, well, now that my wife is happy, I can go and train and everything. I don't care about money.
Geez, what a weird relationship that Chi-Chi and Goku have. You think she'd be happy to have them around the house more with their children, but it's like, no, I got my money, I'm good now. You can go gallivant and do whatever you want, it's fine.
Yeah, she knew what she was getting into.
I guess she did, didn't she? And then you remember what she was like back in Dragon Ball, and it's like, well, I guess you're a weirdo too, aren't you, Chi-Chi?
Yeah, she was some weird warrior woman.
Yeah, she used to have a head laser. I think the first time you see Chi-Chi, she, like, kills a dinosaur with her head laser.
Yeah.
She really got domestified, didn't she? And I mean, that's kind of the bulk of it. It's, it's more just kind of getting reacquainted with the heroes and everything and what they're up to, and really showing you that they've fallen into kind of these lazy suburban lives now that there's no enemy left to fight. But oh, there is an enemy left to fight, because the first two arcs are just a retelling of the last two DBZ movies, Resurrection F and I forget what the Beerus one was called, but they were great.
Yeah, Battle of Gods or something.
Battle of the Gods, yes. And because of that, you actually see a little of Lord Beerus out there in space, the weird cat man who may very well come to Earth to challenge Goku, but I guess it'll be a couple more episodes before we get there.
Oh yeah, I'm very much looking forward to the filler, the world famous Dragon Ball Z filler.
Oh yeah, they're pretty famous for that, aren't they? But yeah, I will
Yeah,
say this though. After watching the movie, and I'm glad they got the same voice for the guy. I love Beerus and Wes. I think those guys are great.
yeah, they're really great characters. I've only seen them in the films and everything, but yeah, they're really great characters.
Beerus's voice is so perfect for that character, and someone pointed this out to me. Beerus is this perfect, like, dark mirror to Goku that he has this godlike power, but he's kind of an idiot, and he loves food and everything, but he's also really easily offended, and he'll destroy a planet if there's no pudding.
Yeah, exactly like how like Goku would do if he was in that situation. If he didn't get his, fried special fried rice, he'd go insane.
He is a godchild, is what he is, and I think that's why he's the perfect foil for Goku in the show. Now, I've heard tell that Beerus in the series they actually characterize him a little different than the movie, so I hope they don't stray too far from that. But yeah, I'll keep watching this. I think episode 2 actually focuses on Vegeta, Bulma, and that whole family dynamic, so that'll be fun to see.
That will be a fun episode. I like when they checking in Vegeta and his family.
Vegeta was always my favorite character. I think he had probably one of the best arcs in the entire series. He went from being like the arguably the best villain to like arguably one of the best heroes in the span of a few seasons. He had the most growth out of anyone.
Yeah, it was great.
Plus, domestic Vegeta is just funny. Where it's like, I used to be a Saiyan prince, now look at me.
I can't remember though. I wonder if he's gonna have that mustache he had during. I think it was
GT.
the cell. Yeah, was it GT?
Yeah, GT, he had the stupid mustache.
Yeah, the handlebar mustache.
No, I think they say no to the mustache this time around. But yeah, that's Dragon Ball Super, everyone. Matt and I, we thought that was kind of fun, and if we, anime being the way it is, and especially Dragon Ball being the way it is with all the filler, I'm not saying we'll talk about it every week, but maybe if something cool happens, or maybe if there's like an empty spot in the show, we'll definitely go back to the Dragon Ball Super well and tell you what's going on there.
Yeah, totally.
All right, so, geez, we actually finished this one in quicker time than I thought. I usually like to shoot for 40 minutes on this show, but like we said, not everything is back yet.
No, I'm sure in the coming weeks we'll be swamped
Oh, yeah,
with
I'm
shows.
sure. Oh, yeah, I'm sure next week we'll be complaining about everything that there is. So, yeah, I mean, I guess with that, everyone, we'll start to wind down the show. Thank you so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed your what may very well be your first episode of Cape TV. You can always find it over on the Cape Joel channel, over on the Comic Multiverse Podbean. Ooh, big thanks to our patrons. God, I'm blanking on your name now. JM, I think were the characters on it. It was two initials. With your donation, the Patreon for Cape Joel and Comic Multiverse actually hit over the $100 line, so thank you.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, that will be very helpful for me in the coming months as I will be making my way to Emerald City Comic Con for the first time in Seattle. Be sure to catch me and all our other podcast friends out there if you can. Also, I will probably be trying to get back onto the streaming thing to help, raise some, additional funds for the trip. I did it for New York and everyone seemed to enjoy it. I played a new game every day and people came by and they chipped in a couple bucks here and there and that was good fun. So I guess as we wind down the show, tell us down in the comment section, what did you watch on TV this week that you really enjoyed? What's coming out in the coming weeks that you really want to see us talk about? And just general, what did you think of the show? Give us input to try and make this one better. I know I actually spent some time and updated the the title cards that I use for this, and I even put in little titles so people can see exactly at what point we talk about which show, so I think that should make watching Cape TV a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so, I guess on that note, I can stop stalling and wind down. As always, you can find me over on the Cape Joel Twitter to keep up on everything I'm doing, and you can find Matt at...
Fortress of Solitude.
Yeah, you got a Twitter, too. Find him there as well.
Yeah, I can't remember what my Twitter handle is.
It's not important. If they care, they'll find it. On that note, everyone, I bid you goodbye. Bye-bye.
Bye.